Hi, welcome to our webinar, the software that slashes development time, 10 killer features. The software we'll be talking about today is UniLogic. UniLogic is the all-in-one programming environment for Unitronics award-winning UniStream, which are modular, compact PLC plus HMI controllers with onboard I/Os. UniLogic was designed according to the principles of KISS, keep it simple. Within this simple environment, you easily code ladder, design beautiful HMI screens and web pages, configure hardware, set up and implement communications, and much, much more. UniLogic has many efficient features that can slash your development time by up to 50%. Today we are going to look at only 10. Hosting this webinar is Ophir Levy, Unitronics Technical Support Manager, and myself, Kara Barrick-Levy. Please note that we will have questions and answers at the end of the webinar, so please hold any questions until then. Okay, let's get started. Let's start with something simple. Number one, all-in-one ergonomic design. Everything is visible. All program components are logically organized in UniLogic. Ophir, can you please show us?
On the left side, you can find the Solution Explorer window. Here you can access all the functionalities and features of your project, starting from hardware configuration, communication, ladder diagram, screens, web server, alarms, and many more. You can even here put screen beside screen for better designing. So just take a look. For example, if I want to put ladder next to HMI, now I can program both ladder and HMI in the same screen.
Okay, number two, structs, your tag database on steroids. Structs are groups of data tags of different types that are organized into a single logical unit. Now, UniLogic automatically creates some structs during the programming process to support hardware configuration and also to support complex functions such as PID. However, you can also create your own structs to service your program functions, and then you can reuse them throughout your program. This is a very powerful feature. Ophir, can you demo this for us?
Yes, of course. Okay, so from the bottom window, we can define our user tags and struct as well. In the struct tab, I can define my structs. Here we define in advance few structs. So let's take a look first on the oven struct. You can see here we are having tags from different data types. Let's look at the pump struct as well. So you can see here, for example, I have a few tags like pressure, which is integer, overload, and emergency button, which are bits. Now let's create two new tags, two new pumps in our application. So I will add a new pump 1, and under type I will see now that I have a new data type which its name is pump. I will add another one, let's say pump 2, and now you can see that inside each one of these tags I have all the members that we created before for the struct pump. So for example, if you have 10 pumps in your application, you can create one time a struct and then you can reuse it as many times as you like.
Okay, our third feature is speed ladder programming. Editing ladder is virtually error-free. Drag and drop action automatically snaps elements into place. UniLogic software means that you write it once, creating code that can be used across projects. Raising efficiency via UDFBs, user-defined function blocks, is a very easy task as well. Okay, Ophir, please show us some cool ladder programming.
We can add the ladder elements from the toolbox using drag and drop. As you can see, I can drag and drop the elements from the toolbox into my ladder area. We can double click, so we can even faster add these elements, and we can even use the keyboard. Now I'm using my arrows keyboard and I can add more and more elements. I can move the leather elements to anywhere you see the green dots. So let's say if I want to put this one first, I can just place it wherever I want without the need to draw any lines. And if I want to put the elements in parallel, you can see the snap effect. So just look how fast and easy I can create my leather code. And of course, if I want, I can zoom in or zoom out to see more leather elements. Now, when I wish to link my tags into this leather, I just need to click on my leather element. It will open a list. Actually, it's a filtered list with all the tags that can be linked to this leather element. Since now we are using contact and coils, I will see only bits. Let's link the pump tags that we created before. I can just type to filter and find very quick my tags. So look how fast I can fill this leather. So this is the way to fill the tags in our leather. We can also have the leather split into regions with different colors for better documenting your code.
Okay, now we're really getting into the killer features. Meet number 4, the Power Data Tools, Data Sampler, Data Tables, and Recipes. Data samplers enable you to record dynamic application data, such as output values, at fixed intervals into files on an SD card. You can also represent data samples as trend graphs on the HMI screen. Data tables are a unique Unitronics Power feature. You can use them to organize and to manipulate data via ladder functions, to create data logs, to create and implement recipes, import and export values from or to Excel, and also to allow users to enter and edit data into data tables via the panel. Ophir, can you show us these tools?
So we can find the data sampling again in our Solution Explorer. Let's say I want to take samples from my pump pressure. I just need to add data sampler, set the folder where the file will be saved in our SD card, and link our tags that we want to take samples from. Pump 1, pressure, and then I can add another feed and link pump 2 pressure. That's it. Once we will activate this data sampler, we will have a file with all the pump pressure values in our file. Let's see also data tables. Here is the data tables. Data tables are very easy to create. We can use them for many purposes like data logging, recipes, and more. Data tables are based on structs. So for adding a new data table, I just click on Add New Table. I can link to any struct that I want. I prepared in advance a struct which is called bread recipe. After linking the struct, I can define the number of rows in my table. And then that's it. Here is my table. You can see all the columns and the rows that created this data table structure. Now we can use it with our special data table elements for reading and writing data.
Okay, and we are now up to number 5, HMI displays. UniLogic enables you to design HMI screens that look as though they were designed by a graphic artist. This is because you have use of UniLogic's extensive free graphic library and also the HMI widgets. Ophir, you want to show us some HMI work?
Of course. Indeed, you can build really nice screens using our HMI designer. I will just show a few features we have in the HMI. For example, there is automatic alignment. You can see when I'm moving my buttons here on the screen, you can see these red lines that show me how can I align the elements one to each other. We can also set transparency to these elements. So you can see here, using this opacity property, I can set these elements transparent. We can have multi-layer, and we can also set angles to each one of these elements.
That's pretty cool.
For example, you can see this nice widget, the circular gauge. Look how fast I can build it. I will delete this one and add a new one, and look how fast we can set it up in the screen. So I will just select my circular gauge, place it on the screen, select its style. For example, I will use progressive style. I will set the ranges, so I can set different ranges in different colors. And if we want that this gauge will show our pump pressure, we just need to link it. Again, we get the nice list, link it to the pressure, and that's it. Now this widget will show our pump pressure in a nice view. We have many other elements. So we prepared a few screens to show you. We have the user controls like radio buttons, check boxes, list boxes, combo box for user entry. We have tanks and bar graph. Of course, many properties can be changed, like colors and so on. We have time and date widget, analog time, digital time, calendar date and digital date. We have the trend widget. You can see it comes with the built-in buttons to show. Basically, we just need to link the data sampler we created before to this trend, and we will see the data that we took sampling from on this trend. When we install also UniLogic, we get a library of around 700 pictures you can use in your program at no cost. This is just an example of a nice screen we created, so you can see how nice screens you can create with UniLogic. We have circular gauges, as you saw before, linear gauges. Again, each one of these are elements that exist in our toolbox. And we have also the data table widget that basically we can link the data table created before, and then we will be able to see on the HMI all the data of the data table, and we will be able also to edit it if we want. We can see also a nice preview of the screen when we mouse over, or we can see it in a thumbnails like here, and then select the screen that I want to use.
Okay, now this next feature is going to look very familiar, web page design. You do not need to know any HTML at all to design really nice web pages using UniLogic. You just drag and drop the user controls and widgets to create pages that enable your end users to view and enter application data via any web browser. Please show us some samples.
Yeah, so we can see the web server here. When adding the web server, you can define users and roles. This is basically an option to secure your web pages. So we can create roles, we can create here, like here, users. Let's look at an example of a web page that we created before. So you can see it looks exactly as we designed HMI. You can see the toolbox with all the web elements. So you can see that each one of these can be created from the toolbox, and then we can create our web page without the need to know anything about HTML or JavaScript. I can even show you really quick how can I add a new web page. And for example, let's say I will take another gauge, put it on the screen, link it again. Let's say if I want to link it again to my pump pressure, and that's it. This element now, when we will browse into this controller IP address, will be able to show the pump pressure as a linear gauge.
Okay, and this brings us to number 7. And number 7 is really the beginning of the killer features, the concept of build it once and then reuse. I think that this is the ultimate time saver in our entire system. You add your UDFBs, your HMI screens, and your web pages to the library. Then you can drag and drop them anywhere you need them. UniLogic takes care of the tags. Also, you can import your library into any project and you can share it with others.
We created in advance a very simple UDFB. We called it pump logic. For example, if the pump set point is higher than the pump pressure, we want to set on the pump. After creating this logic, we can reuse it as many times as we like in our program. I just need to drag this element, this function actually, into the ladder, and I can use it as many times as I want. Of course, I can link different parameters to each one of these functions, and then I can reuse it. Of course, this function was created with the special tags like function in, function out tags in order to be able to link different parameters into this function. We can also export this function, and then we can send it by email to anyone we want to share it, and we can add it to a library. You can see our library here, again in the Solution Explorer. You can see we have a library with 3 folders for ladder function, HMI displays, and web server pages. So for every application that I will open in UniLogic, I will have these available and I can use it in any application that I will open.
And that really is an amazing time saver. And that brings us up to number 8, okay, languages. UniLogic supports any language that you can type, including Asian languages such as Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. You simply enter translated text into the language table translation, and then you can switch HMI language via user actions or via program events. Up here, show them just how simple this is.
So here is the languages. You can see that now the default language is English. If I want to add another language, I can just right-click, add a language. So practically any language is supported. You can see a huge list of languages. For example, I will choose Chinese, click on OK. So now I added the Chinese into my program. By just choosing the Chinese, I can see this grid, which basically shows all the text elements we have on our HMI. And here from this grid, I can either translate the English word into Chinese, or I can export the whole grid into Excel, translate it in Excel, and then import it back into UniLogic and have everything translated into Chinese. Then very simply, by just an action, you can see, for example, I put the China flag here. I can link an action here, set language, select the language I want to set, and that's it. From this moment, when I will press on this button on the HMI, the whole text will change to Chinese.
That is pretty cool, I've got to say. Okay, now, I want to say that UniStream was designed to be a true multi-purpose, high-functioning controller. Okay, feature number 9, built-in alarms, is a very good example of this. The alarm system is designed in accordance with IASA standards for alarm systems and process industries. It's intuitive, easy to implement, easy to operate, and the system includes a lot of features that allow you to detect alarms, analyze them, and take action. Ophir, show us.
Creating alarms in UniLogic is really easy and intuitive. You can find the alarms here in the Solution Explorer. We can create groups for better arranging the alarms. After creating a group, I can create alarms inside. So you can see I can add many alarms. We can create actually up to 1024 alarms. We can decide for each one of the alarms what will be the name, severity, priority. Let's say I will set the name to pump pressure high. Then when I want to set the condition of the alarm, I can browse inside the alarm, set the condition, In this case it will be analog condition. We can link again the tag, which is our pump pressure. I will link the tag, set the operator, let's say it will be greater than. The value can be either constant or from a tag. I will set right now as a constant. We can set a description, countermeasure for the operator, and we have also some other advanced options like on delay, off delay for the alarm, and even deadband. Let's see how it looks like in real. So right now I have my controller here on my desk and I'm connected to it by VNC. Any UniStream controller is a VNC server by default, so we can take any VNC client and connect it for remote access. Let's just simulate an alarm. You can see at the top that we have a banner for the alarms. Right now it's in green color since there are no active alarms. I will just simulate some alarm. So after the pressure will go high, you can see that the banners become red. We can see here on the banner the alarms running in this window, and we can go inside and see the alarm summary. We can see here the alarms when it was activated, and we can see more details here using the I button. So you can see the description, the countermeasure, and we can acknowledge the alarm. We can select individually one alarm and acknowledge, or we can select all and acknowledge all of them. And if we want, of course, we can clear after the alarm becomes inactive. We have another nice widget which is for managing the alarm. It's called Alarm Status Viewer. Here you will see the list of the alarms. I can basically go into each one of the alarm and decide whether I want to disable it or to shelve it in case we have, for example, a faulty sensor, so we can shelve it or disable.
That's pretty cool. Any VNC client, for remote access. That's a great thing. Okay, now we have arrived at our final killer feature number 10, communications. Communications are incredibly fast and very easy to configure and implement. UniStream data communications function independently of ladder. A single PLC can contain multiple slave definitions and also multiple master definitions. If you're hit it.
Here we can find our communication. UniStream can support many physical ports such as Ethernet, RS-232, RS-485, USB device and host, and CAN bus. As you can see, we support many protocols: CAN Open, SNMP, Modbus RTU and TCP, UniCAN, FTP, and even Ethernet IP Allen Bradley protocol. When we want to build our protocol, for example, if we are using Modbus and the UniStream is set to Modbus master, I can easily create my remote slave settings. I can decide what will be the communication with the slave, whether it will be Ethernet or serial. And then for reading and writing information from the slave, I can just add new operation, link it. For example, let's say if I want to read some temperature from the oven, so I can just set the name of the tag, the address, whether I want to read or write, the Modbus address, and the interval to read and write, and that's it. This is all what you need to do in order to set up the Modbus. Same goes for other communication. Let's see, for example, Ethernet IP. If I will use the UniStream as a scanner, I can add up to 16 nodes. I just need to set the IP address of the node, the address to read, address to write, address for the configuration, link the tags for each one of these, and that's it. By just filling a table, we are configuring our communication very easily.
I have to say that this whole table thing is very easy to manage. Okay, so we have reached the end, my friends. To review our 10 killer features, 1, all-in-one ergonomic design. 2, structs. 3, speed ladder programming. 4, power data tools. 5, complex, beautiful HMI displays. 6, complex web pages, no HTML required. 7, build it once. 8, languages at the touch of a button. 9, built-in alarms. And 10, communications. So before we go to questions and answers, I want to mention this. UniLogic, like all Unitronics software and utilities, including updates, may be downloaded from the Unitronics website at no charge. Also, Unitronics' standard policy of customer care will allow you to enjoy personalized technical support from Ophir Levy, as well as unlimited participation in Unitronics' highly active, moderated technical support forum. Okay, so we do have time for a couple of questions. I see one has come in. Okay, unsupported protocols. Okay, I understand. What if you're using a barcode reader or similar that has a protocol that you don't support in UniLogic? What do we do?
Yeah, this also can be done very easily with UniLogic. We have a nice feature which is called Message Composer. Using the Message Composer, we can compose messages. So take a look how easy it is. I can add a new device. I can set its start of text, end of text, whether it has a checksum. I can add a new messages that I want to send or receive. And then by just dragging and dropping, I can create my message very easily. Of course, if it's a variable, I can link it to a tag again. Okay, and this is how easy it is to create the messages. And then by just simple letter elements, we can send the messages and receive them.
That's pretty cool. It's like playing with Lego. Okay,
Exactly.
I like that. All right, let's take a look. Okay, we've got another question. Email support. Okay, somebody wants to know about email support. You want to go back over and
we
show
support
us?
also sending emails and SMS, and also you can see that it looks almost the same as what we did before. We can add an account of the email, setting the email address, username, password, set the mail server that we are going to use, and then we can add email, and building the body of the email is done exactly as you saw before. By just dragging and dropping these elements, I can create my message, I can set the subject, I can set the to CC, BCC, and we can even attach files that we save on our SD card.
Okay, that's, I really, again, I'm very proud of the consistency of our program. I really think that saves a lot of time. Okay, do we have time for any more questions? Are we out of time? Okay, we're out of time. People, I want to thank you all. Ophir and I thank you for joining us. If you want more information, please visit unitronics.com. You can also, of course, write to us, support@unitronics.com. And we hope to hear from you. Please contact us and send us some feedback. Have a great day.